Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Bitika Anand, exploring the person behind the lawyer. All of you will meet the who's who of the legal world with only one twist that we won't be discussing anything legal with them, digging deeper into their persona and exploring their true selves. I will encourage my guests today to introspect, look within, and speak with their inner voice. I'm also pleased to share that Bar and Bench, a renowned online platform, has happily come on board as media partners for this initiative, and they will be the official telecast partners for Soulful Conversations with Bitika Anand. Today we have with us Mr. Deepak Acharya, Group General Counsel and Chief Legal Officer of the Aditya Birla Group. He is a legal professional whose illustrious career is as captivating as it is inspiring. Deepak started his career in 1992 with Procter & Gamble, where he worked for over 25 years, including at P&G's Geneva Regional Headquarters and for 4 years with Singapore Regional Headquarters for 6 years. With a team of over 400 lawyers in the Aditya Birla Group, Deepak is responsible for providing integrated business solutions, keeping in view applicable legal environment. Deepak chairs CII's subcommittee on business and corporate laws. Deepak is also a certified corporate trainer and enjoys conducting trainings such as 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Coaching for Success, and Corporate Athlete, amongst others. So nice to have you with us, Deepak, today. How are you?
Thank you very much. Very
How are
well.
you?
Thank you,
Okay,
Deepika, for
okay.
having
Oh,
me.
yeah, yeah. Okay about not talking about law, but about yourself. So
Sure.
thanks a lot for
Sure.
giving
Happy
us.
to be on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for giving us that opportunity. So, can you tell us a bit about your journey, how you became a general counsel, and what inspired you to be in the position that you are today?
So great to be on your show, Deepika. And you've started with a question where I have to summarize my 32 years of experience in perhaps a few minutes. But let me try and attempt to do that. So very few people know this, but let me share this that Uh, I started off as being a science graduate. I did my um graduation in chemistry as the major subject. Um, Mostly when people do science and chemistry, the next level for them is to do masters in chemistry, and thereafter, multiple fields open up for them. So I was also thinking in those directions as I was visiting my cousin who was actually pursuing his course on company secretaries. And there I happened to see a book which is called Company Law by Dr. Avtar Singh.
Okay.
And, I just picked up that book and started reading that book. And I didn't realize that I kept reading it for almost 150 pages. And it was so captivating for me to read company law. And, it was a great book and written in a very fantastic way, but also the topic, so to speak, inspired me. And, I that day thought that, it is a good idea for me to look at other options, not only as doing my master's in chemistry or something related to science. And I actually came back and picked up law and company secretaries as my choice. And I have 32 years, 33 years, and I've never regretted that. I have been a big fan of company law, and company law has been something which has always inspired me. um, but you know let me also give you a story, a little bit of a story on how,
Sure.
after completing my law school, which I did from Government Law College, which was the only law school, or perhaps the notable law school at that time in Bombay. Um, I was doing my practical training, which is compulsory under the company secretary's curriculum. And during the practical training, people from industry come and give you a lecture and give you how what you have learned during the company secretary's course needs to be practiced in reality. And during one such practical training, I happened to meet Mr. Ashok Chabra, who was the company secretary of Procter and Gamble.
Oh,
And on one topic, it so happened that he asked a question to everybody. There were around 20 people in the room, including me, and he asked for the answer to that question. And my answer was perhaps the only answer which was, not was contrarian answer, that other 19 people gave a different answer. So he asked me, Deepak, tell me why you say this. And, it was, at that time, what had happened was in reality that a day or a couple of days before, I had happened to read a case law which had actually dealt with the same issue. I happened to be lucky actually that this kind of a question came. But that case law was relating to stamp duty to be paid on the transfer deed. In the olden days, there used to be transfer deeds that needs to be signed by the transferor and the transferee. And that company law board judgment actually at that time had set the new um, law on this point. And, so I told him that this is the new judgment that has come in. And he called for that company cases book and we all read it together. And then after that episode, he called me after the event and said, Deepak, what are you doing? And I said, look, I'm looking for a job.
sure.
I completed my company secretary's course and now here I am looking for a job. And he gave me his card and said, Deepak, why don't you come and see me? And that's how actually I met him. And I got into PNG in 1992. And I was with PNG for over 25 plus years.
Right.
And
Amazing.
during that time, I started, of course, in Mumbai, in India, but I got the opportunity to work in Singapore for Asia Pacific region. I also got the opportunity to work in Geneva, which is, Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa region. So, I was working for a US company. So, of course, I got the lot of understanding of how US laws work. So that's the journey that I have done for first 25 years in PNG. And thereafter, uh, I got the opportunity to work for Wipro in Bangalore, which was completely different industry, completely different background, IT services company. And I worked for 25 years there, approximately 5 years. I didn't complete 5 full years, but I was in Bangalore for close to 5 years. And then this opportunity came of Aditya Birla Group. I've been with Aditya Birla Group for now close to 2 years, but that has been my journey right from law school to Procter and Gamble to Wipro and now to Aditya Birla
Okay.
Group. That's how I have basically been a corporate lawyer. I'm perhaps one of the few people who've never joined a law firm and got the experience of working in a law firm
Awesome.
and started in the corporate world directly.
Correct.
Um, so, that's very few people like me who would be, you know, directly getting into the corporate world.
Corporate world. Huh? So the experience is quite unique then, that you've been in the corporate world. So you understand the corporate world very well now. And
And Vinita, the other uniqueness that came with PNG was that, I didn't restrict my knowledge,
mm,
I didn't restrict my work
mm,
to India alone.
mm,
And, the way it started working was that when I was doing my India role, my manager at that time asked me that would you be interested in looking into another geography where we did not have a lawyer, which was Malaysia. And I
right.
said, absolutely, I would be thrilled to handle Malaysia as well. So I started handling Malaysia, and that's what opened the door for me to look at the regional role, which I did in Singapore, and I did that job well. So then I got the opportunity to do what we called a acronym of CEMEA, which is Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. And the international career opened up for me. Very few people get that kind of an opportunity. I was lucky to be given that opportunity by PNG.
Yeah. So another related question is, did anybody from within the legal profession or outside kind of influenced you for reaching where you are today, or just influenced you in your career path?
Yeah, and yes, indeed. It's been a long career that I have had for 32 years. So several people have influenced my career. I have had, multiple mentors in my career. And I can tell you, one can't reach to a position that I am in unless there are good mentors that support you in terms of guiding you in your career. So I have been very, very lucky to have multiple mentors throughout my career. But people who influenced me, I think there are two leaders or two people that I look up to whenever I have to get an inspiration from. And those two leaders are certainly Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela.
Oh,
So, these are two leaders that I look up to. Mahatma Gandhi, I've read him. I have, I've read him a lot. His writings, his life, um, and the way he transformed himself from a lawyer to a leader is also something that inspires me. He started off as a lawyer, and
right.
ultimately he captured the imagination of not only the nation, but that of the world.
World.
And that transformation that he achieved from a lawyer to a leader is something that I'm fascinated with. And
Yeah.
even wherever I've worked in PNG, Wipro, and now in Aditya Birla Group, there's one phrase which I use very often with my team is how we can become leaders from lawyers, right?
Mm,
And how can we can influence more people and not merely a lawyers. So that is Mahatma Gandhi, of course. But the second personality, Nelson Mandela, he's an amazing, amazing character, amazing leader with a fantastic character. A person who was in jail for 26 years, and out of that 26 years in jail, Nelson Mandela was in solitary confinement for a number of years. He was kept in one small cell, and in that cell, the window was so high that he couldn't see what is going on outside of the room that he was confined in. He could just get a he could just figure out that it's a day or
day.
it's a night. It was that kind of a room that he was in for a number of years. And despite being in those circumstances for 26 years, he never ever blamed his circumstances, and he was always an optimist. He looked at the positive side. It was so easy for anybody who has
Mm,
gone through this kind of a punishment to become bitter, to to go against the people who meted that kind of a punishment at him. But here he was coming out of the jail after 26, 27 years of being in the jail, and having no ill will
mm,
against his captors. and he signed a deal with them and signed an agreement with them that gave the apartheid regime a go. And that's the amazing part that he could achieve,
Yeah.
because he was very optimist. He was very positive personality. So I think I certainly admire these two leaders for their inspirations. And as I said, several mentors that I was, very uh, fortunate to have throughout my career that supported me.
So I think from here the other thing which arises is, what are the key values and principles that have guided you throughout your career? I'm sure it'll come with the people who have inspired you or who have influenced you. I'm sure those principles would come along, but still it'll be good to hear from you.
Sure, sure, Pritika. And more than inspiration, of course, is a great part. But I firmly believe that companies and organizations that you work with mold you in their own, values. And being 26 years, my initial 26 years with PNG certainly molded me into what we call, jokingly, I got proctorized, because I worked with them for 26 plus years. And there
Yeah.
are a few, values that are very close, that are very dear to every proctorite, I would say. And I would say two or three of them really, really inspired me. One being certainly, the integrity. Integrity is one thing which, is I mean, uh, inspired me from my leaders as well, that I shared with you. It was also one of the key value system that was there in
Yeah.
Procter and Gamble. It's the value system that was there in Wipro where I
Wipro
worked,
also, and
and it's the same value system that I
yeah,
worked in the Aditya Birla group as I speak
right.
to you. Right. So it's one common factor that I see in all three companies that I've worked with is certainly the integrity. And the second one is, trust. And trust is something which is, very close to my heart, in the sense that, you need to earn the trust of the teams that you are working with. You need to earn the trust of the manager that you are working with or leader that you are working with. And trust is something which you can never demand. You can never say that trust me because I am your
Yeah, I'm your so and so, or I'm so and so.
trust needs to be earned. Trust needs to be earned, and trust can be earned not in a few days, not in a few months, but sometimes it takes years and years to earn the trust of the organization. There are several theories on trust, and one of them, which is very close to my heart, is a book written by Stephen Covey on speed of trust. Right? What happens when you have earned the trust of the customer, or of that, for that matter, of the society? It changes everything around you. So I think trust and integrity, I would say, are two
The
very
two
important.
main values.
But let me, Bitika, add one final one, which also is very close to my heart, which is, and I'll share why I think this is very important for the lawyers, particularly in the corporate world, but that I think is applicable not merely to the corporate world, but also to the law firms, which is the speed. Speed at which we work,
Hmm.
speed at which we deliver the work product that we have is very, very critical in today's time.
Hmm.
And that is a value that is very dear to my heart, because you see, when a client comes to you for seeking an advice, um, the clients wouldn't do anything further unless you are able to share your guidance with them. You are able to share your counsel with them. And if you delay sharing your advice, your counsel, you are stalling everything that, in a business is not a great thing to do.
Correct.
So speed at which we can, provide our counsel, provide our guidance is a very important value for corporate lawyers, and something which is, one needs to think about it. How can we get, how can we give our counsel to our business with speed? Of course, without compromising the quality of our advice.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. In the consulting business or any work, turnaround time, when you have a relationship of as a consultant, then obviously turnaround time is extremely, extremely important. And what do you enjoy being a general counsel, or what challenges you have faced as a general counsel?
So, Bitika, the time when I joined Procter and Gamble in 1992, and today, as we speak in 2024, times are very, very different.
Yeah.
Today the challenges are, particularly in front of the general counsel, are very, very complex challenges that we have. And that becomes even more, bigger challenge for a group such as Aditya Birla Group. And I'll give you a little bit of a flavor in terms of the complexity that we have, in terms of the organization that we have, is that, we have a team of more than 400 lawyers.
Right.
Now, that is like any mid-size or a large-size
Law firm. Yes.
law firm itself. In my team, my leadership team, I have around 18 general counsels, right? So those 18 general counsels are all general counsels handling their respective businesses. Some are big, some are small businesses, but totally overall, we have 18 general counsels handling varied businesses. Some businesses are predominantly in India, some businesses are predominantly outside of India. So Aditya Birla Group, their total revenue, 50%, more than 50% of their revenue today comes outside of India. Very few people
Interesting.
know this, but even, when we were not this big, we were small, even at that stage, uh, our revenues used to come from outside of India. We were one of the first companies in India that actually ventured outside of India to do business. Uh, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Turkey, Egypt. These are the countries that we went and set up our manufacturing locations number of years ago. Now it is obviously a little more common to have companies that are doing
Yeah.
business outside of India. But we did this number of years ago, and that was the vision of the group at that time. And even today, when we are more than $60 billion in revenue, uh, more than 50% of our revenue is coming out of India. Uh, so, that the reason I am sharing this with you is that brings a very different nature of complexity that we are looking at as a general counsel or as a group general counsel. The landscape that we are looking at is not merely India, it is rather global landscape. We are looking at Southeast Asia, where we have business interest. We are looking at Europe, where we have a major business interest. We are looking at US, where we have a major interest. One of the biggest subsidiaries of the group, and this is a public knowledge, so I'm sharing this broadly with everyone,
Right.
is
Right.
Novalis. Novalis is one of the largest subsidiaries of the group, and that is a very international business.
Right.
That is into aluminum products and products of aluminum, to be precise, aluminum cans that are used in beverages. But, that's something which is a huge business for us, is outside of India, is in the US. So that brings a very different level of complexity, very different level of challenges. and a very different level of maturity
Yes.
to handle the organization which is as big as 400 lawyers. I mean, one of the key challenges that every general counsel is facing nowadays, or to that extent, every managing partner of a large law firm is handling nowadays, is managing legal talent.
Right.
And, to manage the talent of 400 lawyers needs a particular, way of working.
Acumen, yeah, acumen and
Yeah. So those are the things that does, you know, provide me adequate challenges as we speak.
but I'm
Obviously,
sure
transactions
yeah.
that we do, multiple transactions that we have in the group also keep me very, very busy uh, and challenging at the same time.
Yeah, but I must say that you have been successful in a kind of handling those challenges. So you've been successful in that, so that's good. And what do you enjoy most being a general counsel? You spoke to us about your challenges. What do you enjoy the most being a general counsel?
Yeah, and I'll share that with you, Bitika. But a general counsel or a group general counsel is nothing without his team. So if some general counsel is doing well, he or she is doing well because of his team.
Yeah, correct.
And I think it's all about the teamwork. So I'm grateful to my team. Uh, it's my team which is delivering a lot of hard work that they do is delivering. The team of 400 plus lawyers that I mentioned to you, and I see them as the major contributors to the legal work that we
Yeah.
provide to our group companies. Coming to the second question that you asked me, I personally believe, Bitika, there are three things that are very critical for a general counsels to have.
Mm.
And whether it's a small company, small group, or it's a big group such as ours, we are third biggest group at least in India in Fortune 500 company. The challenges are almost similar. And I'll say that there are three things that one must have, a general counsel or a group general counsel must have. And those three things are, I would say, first and foremost, a skill of able to diagnose an issue. And I therefore say a skill of a doctor. If some patient goes to a doctor, that patient really doesn't know what is wrong with him or her. They can only say the symptom to the doctor. Based on the symptom, doctor needs to tell him or her what is wrong
Mm.
and therefore handle the root cause of that issue. Likewise, a general counsel will get a lot of problems,
Yeah, right.
a lot of symptoms. People will come and ask a lot of questions. But from those symptoms, one needs to understand and diagnose what is the root cause of the issue and therefore remove the root cause of the problem to get the long-term solution
Yeah,
to the
correct.
problem. So that's number one. Number two, a general counsel also must be a business person. And I
Absolutely.
say a business person because if general counsel doesn't know which business we are making money and in which business we are losing money, then I think that general counsel will not be able to succeed in a corporate environment.
If you don't understand the business, right? Yeah.
And finally, a general counsel also must be a teacher.
Mm.
Why teacher? And I'll share this with you is that, as we give counsel to people, as we tell them what to do, we should be able to do this in a way that teacher does with their pupil, which teacher
Right.
explains this to them. And training awareness is a fundamental part of the legal team
Mm.
of any company. And therefore, these three things are very, very critical. And you asked me a question, what you do enjoying most as being a
I would
general counsel?
also relate it to another question. is what are your hobbies, or what do you do other than being a general counsel? Of course, enjoy most as a general counsel, but also, what hobbies or anything you do other than being a general counsel?
Actually, I do other than law and other than what I shared with you in terms of corporate, which is reading books. And
Okay.
I am an avid reader. I read a lot of books, and I enjoy reading books which are autobiographical books, which are book which gives you a lot of learning from the experiences that they have gone through. My favorite book being, you know, um, uh, Long Walk to the Freedom by Nelson Mandela. As I said, Nelson
Yeah.
Mandela is my inspiration. Um, that's a book that I've read and enjoyed reading it, and listening to music. And particularly in music, I listen to a genre which is ghazals, and I listen to ghazals. And you would ask me why ghazals and why, and people have asked me why ghazals. And as a lawyer, uh, ghazals have the unique ability to give you different meanings in a different mood when you are listening to those ghazals. If you are in a particular mood, you will have a very different meaning
So these
to
are
what ghazal you are
Urdu
listening to.
ghazals, in Urdu. Are you
Absolutely, it is
talking?
in Hindi, in
Okay.
Urdu, but one ghazal would give you multiple meanings,
Right.
and you can't say that one that's the only meaning that is assigned to it, and that's what fascinates me, because that's what law is all about.
Hmm.
Law is all about different meanings,
Two
different
different.
interpretations, and different situations in which the same law is read and applied. And
Right.
we are talking about interpretation. Recently, we all know Supreme Court full bench has overturned a judgment which was of the seven bench judgment, and nine bench judgment has overturned it. So can we say that seven bench was wrong and nine bench is right? I don't think so. It was a different time when seven bench judgment was given. Now is a different time when nine bench has given this order. So one has to
So
keep that
with
in
the
mind.
moods, like with the moods you're comparing it. Very
Exactly.
interesting
So if you
comparison
look
with the
at the judgment as
moods.
static, you will say, oh, seven judges wrong, nine judges right. But seldom these judgments are static. They are always moving with the time. And if you see it with the time, you will realize it was right when seven judges judgment was given. This is right when the nine bench judgment is given. So, it's the matter of time as well.
Yeah. So, any memorable moment, and maybe I would ask which made you laugh and still makes you laugh. Any memorable moment that comes to your mind, sort of, which made you laugh and still makes you laugh when you think about it. Any such thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, one thing particularly which I laugh out aloud with, particularly with my family, is you know the fact that the way I actually looked at my journey when I started and where I am today in my journey. Sometimes I laugh it out, not because it's funny, but it is because I personally believe that there is um, you can't plan everything in life. Certain things happen when they have to happen,
Correct.
and therefore you have to take it in a lighter vein. I think in that way, careers, sometimes people take it too seriously, and therefore they lose out. Um,
Lot in
the
life otherwise.
funny side of the life or the lighter side of the life, and I see that as a case with me, as uh, there is a larger divine force that works behind you, and you call it spirituality, you call it divinity, you call it religious feel that you have. But I think that's something which you know I don't take it very seriously, but I take it in the in a lighter way.
Lighter way. Okay. Yeah, so I would have I asked you about spirituality. I think that you have told us, that about the divine force that is there with all of us all the time. The last thing I would like you to, if you can advise or give some advice to the lawyers, budding lawyers, I would say, or this generation of lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I have learned over my 32 years of experience, which I would certainly want to share. It may be helpful to some, may not be helpful to everyone, but for whatever worth, I would certainly like to share this. That, we lawyers are very left-brained people, right? We are left-brained as to see that we are reason-oriented, we are logic-oriented. We talk about sequencing, that things work like this, and there has to be a meaning in everything that we do in a particular way. And therefore, most lawyers try to convince, um, the people that they are talking to, be it a counterparty, be it their manager, be it a job interview where they are meeting people. They try to convince them with their logic, and particularly lawyers do that a lot. And I think that is where they miss the fundamental part, that before we try and impress upon the other person how competent we are, we need to impress upon the other person that I'm trustworthy first. So building trust always comes before competency. Before sharing that you are a competent lawyer, you should be able to build a trust. Uh, that trust, as I said, builds over time, but there are multiple ways you can connect with a person in a way that would build a rapport, that would build a trust.
Yeah, so I think you're more emphasizing on the relationship part, that you need to build it first. Of course, you have to be technically a good lawyer and all, but this part of, building trust, building a relationship. Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
is.
trusted relationship, which is based on character as against based on personality, right? Uh, Having a character is a very important part, in
Right.
my view, for any person. And I think in our conversations, in our connect with people, at times we forget that building that trust is actually more important than trying to convince the other side
Yeah.
that I know this law, I'm competent,
Yeah, right.
therefore you should trust me, right?
Yeah, and you should just, yeah, trust me because, yeah.
Just follow that, trust me because I'm competent.
Uh,
But people will not do that. People will say that I will trust you first and then I determine whether you are a competent or not.
Absolutely. So,
Advice that I have for people who are budding lawyers, that don't try and impress with your competence. Try and develop a trust first before you can impress somebody with your competence.
yeah, I really agree with you on this because I feel you have rightly said, a lot of people want to convince the other person this. But nowadays, I think it's good to be transparent. It's good to, be yourself, be your true self in front of the person. So that person has that trust, before he starts even looking at you like an employee or as a junior or as a senior, even in whatever capacity you want to engage with them. I think the trust factor is very important.
Deepika, what you mentioned, we call it authenticity. That when you are authentic,
Hmm.
when you are sharing what you actually do, that's where the trust is built. The
Yeah.
trust cannot be built on if you're non-authentic, you lose trust as against building a trust.
Yeah, you're not your true self. And I think nowadays people can read it very easily because I think everybody is smart, everybody is intelligent. So if you think you can just undermine the other person that they cannot read you, I think you yourself are stupid because people can kind of read it. So it's what you said, the right word, be yourself, be authentic, and and you have that trust factor first in any engagement of any kind with any other human being. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was really lovely having you with us for this soulful conversation. And let's see, we'll have some more conversations, if not so soulful. So nice. Thank you again, Deepak.
Thank you for having me on the show, Pritika. I really enjoyed talking to you as always, and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.